I have spent a few days thinking of my top 10 favorite characters ever. I'm judging them based on how cool they are, how funny they are, and how well they work as a character. There are obviously going to be heavy spoilers here, so if you hear a movie or game you're going to watch or play, skip that part. At number 10, we have Princess Zelda from the Legend of Zelda series. In the early games, she was essentially Princess Peach from Mario, but as the games went on, she evolved into a much stronger, more fleshed out character. This is most evident in Breath of the Wild, where she gets assigned the best knight in all the land to be her bodyguard, which she takes as an insult. She initially hates Link, her bodyguard, because she thinks it makes her look like she can't protect herself, even though she can't, really. Her dad, the king, is trying to get her to unlock the magic power in her blood, but with a huge threat approaching the kingdom, he's kind of rushing her about it. She, of course, can't stand this, and once the threat, Calamity Ganon, actually does happen, she can't awaken her power until it's too late. Her father and all her friends have died, with Link almost the same, so she goes back to the castle to take on Ganon herself. And she contains him for 100 years, and after that's over, Link wakes up and destroys Ganon with her. In the second game, a lot more happens to her, but we probably don't have enough time to explain all of that.
A boy? Months of attacking Imperial targets, and Vader sends a boy to fight me?
At number 9, we have Rom Koda from the Star Wars The Force Unleashed video game. He starts out as a runaway Jedi hiding from the Empire, and after getting defeated by the game's protagonist, gets his connection to the Force damaged. He then falls into a transport ship that takes him to Nar Shaddaa, where he turns to alcohol to ease the loss. He reaches the same level as a Mom's Basement Discord moderator until Starkiller, the main character, recruits him to be part of the rebellion. Koda tipsily accepts, and through his time with Starkiller, cleans himself up and becomes the Jedi General and Master of Starkiller he was always meant to be. And he's great because he starts out fine, then develops a flaw, and then fixes it. He just has this really unique arc as a character and works better than anyone else in the game. I mean, The Force Unleashed has probably the best story out of any game I've ever played, and practically everyone has an arc. Maybe someday I'll do a whole video on the game. But anyway, he's also supposed to be a samurai Jedi, which is cool because old Japanese samurai movies are what inspired Star Wars in the first place. And besides, tell me this is not the coolest frickin' lightsaber in the whole Star Wars universe!
Obviously, there is a higher intelligence at work here.
Well, that rules out Mikey.
At number 8, we have Raphael from any iteration of Ninja Turtles, really. He's the best character on the whole franchise, and especially on the 2012 TV show because he's the funniest. But he's not funny because he's stupid like Michelangelo in 2012. He's funny because of how grumpy he is. But he's also very witty, something that never really gets addressed in this show. His talent for making jokes at just the right time is wasted because no one ever notices. And let me tell you, the timing on the jokes in this show...
What is wrong with my face?
Would you like the list alphabetically or in descending order of grossness?
You underestimate my power. Don't try it.
At number 7, we have Anakin Skywalker from the Star Wars franchise. He begins as an impulsive, hotshot junkyard slave who gets recruited to be a Jedi because his blood reveals him to be the Chosen One, the Jedi meant to bring balance to the Force. After about 15 years of training, he's become extremely rebellious and even marries outside the Jedi Code. Long story short, he finds out his wife is going to die and embraces the dark side because he thinks he can save her. It doesn't, though, and he becomes a Sith Lord. Then he finds out his twin children are still alive, and another long story short, his son Luke turns him back to the light side. You have to watch the movies to get the full effect, but his arc is just unlike any I've ever seen. And as Darth Vader, he makes one of the best villains of all time. He was actually the main villain in The Force Unleashed, in which he was also a 10 out of 10.
I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's fear.
At number 6, we have the Heath Ledger Joker from The Dark Knight. I'll just say this. The only reason The Dark Knight works as a movie is because of the Joker. He's a psychopathic criminal who doesn't want anything. Nothing. But to sow chaos. He's the one villain that pulls off having no motivation to do what he does in a good way. My favorite thing about him is that you can never tell what he's thinking. He's absolutely insane, but somehow at the same time a 200 IQ person.
I don't really care about winning. Well, now I do, because, we've lost every game. I've gotten tired of it.
At number 5, we have Michael Yagubian from Meet the Robinsons, and the reason I picked him for this list at all is because, in the beginning at least, he's just an incredibly chill dude. He's an orphan, but he doesn't sweat it. All he wants with his life is to win a Little League championship, which is a very realistic, down-to-earth goal. He becomes a villain in his later years, but I'm mostly talking about his kid version.
I just love the smell of fear.
At number 4, we have Death, aka the Wolf, from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. He is the perfect villain, I'll just say that. His whole motivation is that Puss has cheated Death and taken his 8 lives for granted, and Death wants to teach him a lesson for it. He has a simple design, but sometimes that works the best. And he also uses handheld sickles as his weapons that he can spin into a staff with a sickle at each end, which has gotta be one of the coolest weapons I've ever seen.
He knows how to format, spell check and text edit. He's working this job just for college credit.
At number 3, we have Carl from Phineas and Ferb. His whole thing is that he's an unpaid intern from AUCA, the organization without a cool acronym, and he's probably the best character from Phineas and Ferb. I really could have picked anyone from this show to be on this list, but I think Carl is just the sheer funniest. And his boss, Major Monogram, gives him all these opportunities to be his hilarious self by pressing him and making him do all these ridiculous things that he should be getting paid for. I mean, Carl practically single-handedly runs AUCA and no one even notices. But neither does Carl, so he never complains.
We are loaded up!
At number 2, we have Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the books or the movies, and I sure as heck don't mean these two. I mean these two. This probably shouldn't come as a surprise since Roderick is everyone's favorite character in this franchise, but I just had to include him, you know? He's the antagonistic older brother of the main character, or at least it seems that way. When you really think about it, most of the things he does to his little brother Greg are relatively harmless. He also has this comically bad band that he's willing to drop out of school for because he thinks they're just the GOAT. From what I've seen of Loaded Diaper, this kid's in trouble. He's also the drummer of the band, and I play drums too, so that's relatable. And in the movies, he has the pleasure of having the best possible person in existence to play him, Devin Bostick. But I don't want to hate on Charlie Wright too much, since he's been called ugly enough times. People like this character and his actor so much that there was actually a protest movement when Devin got replaced for the long haul. I also didn't love the animated Roderick, and not because he didn't do a good job, it's just that it felt like Devin Bostick put so much heart into Roderick. Animated Roderick sounds like he doesn't even like his role and has never read the books.
Wait! You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
Now, it was a huge toss-up between first place, but I've got to give it to Deadpool. He is the most hilarious character I've ever seen. That's essentially all there is to say. I haven't seen the movies, I really want to, but in the comics and video games and all the other Marvel stuff, he's just as good. He's basically a mock version of Wolverine, with most of the same powers like a healing factor. Actually, that's his only superpower. But he has all the combat experience in the world, with katanas and pistols and grenades and any other kind of cool weaponry you can think of. He's a living embodiment of action/comedy, which is my favorite kind of movie. All a movie needs to be for me to like it is a fun time, which is why I love movies like Cars 2, Thor: Love and Thunder, Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. Plus, look at this costume. Is it not, cool? Thanks for making it to the end. Anyways, I'm out. Bye.